Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime drama Gerald Mohr, starring in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. This episode, entitled The Glass Donkey, was originally broadcast July 28, 1950.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road. And those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. There's no other end. But they never learn.
Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum, the refreshing, delicious treat that gives you chewing enjoyment, presents for your listening enjoyment Raymond Chandler's most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Mohr starred as Philip Marlowe, the makers of Wrigley's Spearmint Chewing Gum are glad to bring you tonight's transcribed story, The Glass Donkey.
Hello, Philip Marlowe.
Oh, this is Matthews, Phil.
Hi.
Listen, Phil.
Yeah?
Didn't you once go around with a brunette named Helen Lofton?
Helen Lofton? Sure. Still do now and then. Why, Lieutenant? Monday your night off?
Not so as you'd notice, Marlowe. When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, maybe a month ago. Hey, what is this? You sound real official.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I don't like it any better than the next guy. Look, Phil, did Helen have any big problems on her mind at that time?
Just me. Hey, wait a minute, Matthews. Is Helen in trouble?
Not now, but she was in lots of it 3 hours ago. At about 5 o'clock this afternoon, somebody put a bullet in her neck, Phil.
Oh, no.
It's down here at the morgue. If you think of anything, let me know, will you?
Might as well have hit me in the stomach with a hammer. Helen Lofton, a good-to-look-at girl with soft black hair and clear hazel eyes. Gets a big charge out of life. But Helen was a great girl. And she'd always had enough sense not to waste time on the kind of people who put bullets in other people. For a long few minutes, I just sat in my apartment and felt sorry. But then I began to want to get my hands on whoever had pulled the trigger. By the time I got downtown and walked into the morgue attendant's office, that urge had become a big hot lump in my chest.
Well, Mr. Marlowe.
Hello, Chester.
Yeah, stranger around here lately.
You got a Helen Lofton? I'd like to pay my respects.
Yeah, can't stop you, boy. Lofton, huh? Oh, yeah, she's still on the table. You'll have a little company back there, Lieutenant Matthews.
Oh, he's still here?
Oh, he's been in and out all evening. Can you find your way all right?
Yeah, thanks, Chester.
I didn't expect you in person, Marlowe. You could have called. Got something to offer on the Lofton girl here?
Yeah. My services, Matthews.
How much did she mean to you, Phil?
Enough to make this real personal. What have you got on it, Matthews?
Nothing. A neighbor reported the shot. Found Helen's body spilled down some stairs at the side of her house.
Mm-hmm.
It was a .32 at close range. No reason, no motive, no leads, unless you can call this a clue, which I don't.
Let's see that. Yeah, it could be the hind leg of one of Helen's glass donkeys. You know, she collected them.
Oh. I was on the stairs near the body.
Uh-huh. Hey, look, Matthews, you don't mind me sticking my 2 cents in this, do you? It'll do me a lot of good.
No, I don't mind. Just keep me posted, huh?
I drove out Sunset Boulevard, then north on Camino Avenue to the neat little house where Helen had lived. I sat very quietly back under some big magnolia trees. Someone had drawn the blinds on the 2 front windows, and it made them look like a pair of closed eyes. I walked around to the side door on the stairs where they found a body, and that's when I noticed a light on inside the house. The door was unlocked, so I went in. The light was coming from the bedroom, and when I got to that door, I saw a girl, blonde with harlequin horn rims, moving stiffly, like a lost somnambulist. I watched her drag one slow finger the full length of the dresser. When that was over, I said, "Hello."
are you?
I was a friend of Helen's, Philip Marlowe. You?
Lila Hughes. You startled me. I thought I was alone in here, and after all that's happened.
Yeah. Did you know Helen pretty well?
Yes. I was just about her only girlfriend. You see, we worked together in the same office and had the same boss.
Uh-huh.
I guess they're going to want me to do something about all of her things now.
Yeah, it's real tough. Everything in the house is just another reminder. Even this little sherry decanter. Here.
But that's Helen's.
It's all right. Sit down. Drink it. At least it'll do you good. Look, Lila, I gotta know why this happened to Helen. It doesn't make sense. Can you help me? Any idea at all?
No, the police have already talked to me about it. Please, Mr. Marlowe.
I know this is unpleasant for you, but I need some answers. It's been over a month since I saw her last. Who's she been going with lately?
I don't know. Helen never said much about her dates.
Who's your boss?
Mr. Maffey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she dated him a few times, but so have I. Surely you don't think Mr. Maffey...
No. I just want to talk to him, that's all.
It's Norman Maffey. Maffey Real Estate Company on Wilshire. He lives on Ogden Drive, 3848.
Thanks, Lila. Well, I'll be on my way now. Hey, look. Maybe you better come too, huh? Let all this go until tomorrow, when you're feeling better.
Yes. I guess you're right.
I turned out the light and snapped the lock as we left. Then walked the sad little blonde as far as her coupe. Got her address on Beechwood Drive and saw her off. After that, I went to my own car, but before I got in, I looked back at Helen's house once more and tried to shake the empty, loose ends feeling it had given me. I was snapped out of that mood in a hurry. A man with a half an acre of forest had just twisted out of sight behind a tree trunk in the backyard. I started for him, and he broke and ran toward the wall in the alley. It was a 6-footer. He rolled across the top and fell over. When I got there, he was up and gone. He hadn't had time to get out of the alley, but it was empty, which could only mean he was laying for me.
Come here, you. You don't, mister. Hit this time. Anyway, oh!
Trash in good neighborhoods is no softer than trash anyplace else. When I finally got clear of it, the forehead was gone. I figured all I had to show was one of his patch pockets, which I still had clenched in my hand. But there was something else. Littering on the ground was what had been in that pocket. A little glass donkey with a hind leg missing. On the way back, I stopped once and tried to call Matthews, but he was out. So I drove on down to Ogden Drive as far as number 3848. A gray at the temples type in blue flannel opened up.
Yes?
Mr. Maffey?
Are you a reporter?
No, I'm a friend of Helen Lofton's. Also, I'm a private detective named Marlowe. I'd like to talk to you.
A private detective?
Mm-hmm.
Who hired you, Mr. Marlowe? Who are you working for?
Myself? Like I said, Helen was a friend of mine.
Well, I'm quite busy, Marlowe, but come in.
Uh-huh.
Back this way, to the den. I've already been interviewed by the police.
You may be again. It's not quite like being vaccinated, Mr. Maffey.
Now, just why have you come here to see me?
Because I intend to find out who shot Helen.
What makes you think I'd have the remotest idea?
Nothing special. She worked for you, didn't she?
So do several other people.
You dated her?
Yes, I did. She was a very attractive girl, but that was no reason for me to kill her.
There was no reason for anybody to kill her. Mr. Maffey, suppose I was to tell you that I'm acquainted with your wife.
Oh, so that's it. You cheap blackmailer. Get out.
And you do have a wife, huh?
Now, look here, Marlowe. You don't have to be sly with me. I'm not hiding anything. Ask me what you want to know and get out of here.
How come Mrs. Maffey doesn't object when you dine and dance the office help?
Because we've been separated for several years.
Separated, but not divorced, huh?
That's right. She lives in San Diego, and we have as little as possible to do with each other. My bank takes care of our only mutual interest. She refuses to give me a divorce.
Did you tell the police all this?
They didn't ask.
Did they happen to ask where you were this afternoon, about 5?
As a matter of fact, they didn't. I wasn't being treated as a suspect then, and I don't intend to be now.
Okay, Mr. Maffey, where were you? Now, look, I'm a private detective. Remember, I'm not even taking notes.
All right, Marlowe, all right. Been having business troubles lately. A lot on my mind. I was out driving in my car, trying to relax.
Can't prove it, can you?
No, probably not. I don't expect to have to try.
All right, tell me something else. Do you happen to know anything about a man with a very high forehead, a young guy, maybe 30, about 6 feet tall?
Yes, I do. Helen went out with a fellow like that recently.
What's his name?
Victor Semra, I think. Why?
Well, I ran across him tonight, and I didn't like his attitude. Sure, that's it. I'll bet on it.
What? What are you staring at? This ashtray?
No. That little donkey in front of a betting window. Thanks for everything, Maffey. I'll see you. The ashtray on the table behind Maffey's desk had been made of baked clay in the shape of a sombrero, a keepsake from old Mexico that kicked hard at my memory. At least it was a thought well worth the price of a phone call to Tijuana. So I drove as far as the first payphone, which was at an all-night mobile gas station, got a handful of change, and while my car was being gassed, put the call through to my old friend, Senor Mike Donahue, who'd given up reporting in Chicago for editing south of the border.
We are ready on your call now, sir. Go ahead.
Hello, Mike.
Well, hello, old pal.
Hi.
Hasta la vista. What's cooking? You coming down to see me?
Later on. Listen, Mike, I'm trying to find out about a glass donkey.
A which?
A donkey made of glass, a souvenir mule. It's got silver shoes and a silver halter.
Oh, one of those things. That silverwork's strictly a Tijuana product, you know.
Yeah, I know.
They peddle them at the highlight games down here.
Out by the betting windows?
That's right.
Can't buy him anyplace else, Mike.
No, not that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Why, you want some?
No, I've already got one. Well, thanks a lot, Mike. You've been a big help.
Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
As long as you're on the wire, Gumshoe, maybe you can help me.
How?
I got a big front-page mystery spread if I can get a little more dope. Ever hear of a babe around L.A. named, let's see, Mrs. Norman Maffey?
Mrs. Norman Maffey?
Yeah.
Holy smoke, I'll say so. What, Mike, what's the story?
Well, the boys just found her body out here on a side road at the edge of town.
Yeah?
Been dead a couple of days. Probably happened Saturday night.
Saturday night, huh?
Yeah. The hotel identified her about 10 minutes ago. She was run over.
Run over? Well, Mike, you said it was a mystery story.
Yeah. You see, the tire tracks out there is still good. It was no accident, Phil. It was murder. Somebody went a long ways out of their way.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, somebody sure did.
July 28, 1950, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, July 28, 1950.
Now with our star, Gerald Mohr, the second act of Philip Marlowe, and tonight's exciting story, The Glass Donkey.
When I hung up on Mike Donahue in the news of Mrs. Maffey's violent death on a lonely road outside of Tijuana, I postponed trying to figure it all out until I had called Lieutenant Matthews at Homicide. I'd asked him to meet me at the bar I was at. 10 minutes later, Matthews was sitting opposite me and chewing on a cold pipe while I filled him in.
Oh, now, easy, Phil. I'm a slow and steady boy. Now, question, who killed Helen Lofton?
Answer, whoever killed Mrs. Norman Maffey.
Why? Where's the tie?
The glass donkey I just told you about. It came from Tijuana.
So?
So I figured that whoever sent it to Helen was, one, a friend who knew she'd get a kick out of a trinket like that.
Yeah?
And two, sent it before he or she decided to kill Mrs. Maffey.
Oh, and therefore said friend had to get the glass donkey back because if traced, it would place the killer in Tijuana where sooner or later Mrs. Maffey's body had to be found. Is that right?
That's so very right. And all that brings us back to only one thing. Mrs. Maffey's killer also got Helen Lofton. Was forced to.
Yeah, it could be. But look now, Phil, the tough one.
What'll it be, chum? You look lonely. Forlorn, maybe.
2 beers.
2 beers, huh? Any special vintage?
Yeah, the kind with suds on top. Goodbye, comic.
Okay. No offense intended.
Oh, what was I... Oh, yeah, I was saying, Phil, the tough one. Now, who killed Mrs. Maffey?
Mr. Maffey.
The motive?
He had the best motive. He hated his wife. Also, Matthews, when I talked to him, he was real vague about his whereabouts lately. And for a clincher, he did know Helen Lofton well enough and long enough to send her a cheap trinket, as in donkey made of glass. Now, you impressed?
A little, but you're holding back, Marlowe.
I'm what?
No, not on me, on yourself, Phil. Look, I know you. You don't usually leap at conclusions and over facts. That isn't your style.
I'm trying to tell you, Matthews.
With such. You know, I told Kelly about that crack you made, mister, and
Skip
he
it.
said...
Here. And goodbye again. We're busy.
Yeah, I'll say. Too bad we ain't got tablecloths. You could have impressed me, chum. Writing down big numbers.
You tip her, I'll break your arm.
Yeah.
Now, look at Phil. Could you be a little bit prejudiced about this guy? Now, Phil.
Yeah. Sure, I'm prejudiced. I just don't like Norman Massey's stuffy kisser and something else. I might as well admit I keep skipping that guy with a mile-high forehead and the boyfriend named Vic Samro because I don't exactly know how he figures in. I'm too impatient to wait around for the answer. Uh-oh.
What is it, Phil?
A game, Lieutenant, called Speaking of the Devil.
Or Don't Look Now, maybe?
It's Forehead, Matthews. He was in the next booth, catching it all. He's at the front door now, see? But he isn't running yet. He's just paying his check. Lieutenant, how about trying that cigarette machine over there while you talk to me like I was still here, huh?
Gotcha.
I'll take the back entrance out to the sidewalk. You'll know if I need help. Matthews underplayed his part neatly, and I got out the back door to the street where I spotted Semrau some 50 yards ahead, walking slowly toward an empty car, a new green Nash that was parked close to mine. But then suddenly he started running like he had just backed into a blowtorch. Before I knew it, he had piled into his car. When I was in mine and after him, the street became that much narrower as a truck the size of a battle wagon lurched out of a side alley without so much as thinking about a full stop. You stupid clown!
What was that, Sonny?
You hurt me, Muscles.
Sonny, you have a nasty tongue.
You've got a couple of funny ideas about driving. Hold right there, fellow. Read it and weep.
A bat?
Yeah, and the big letters spell police. Now get back in your cab there and wait. We'll chat in a bit.
Oh, yeah, sure. Whatever you say, officer. Only this trick was in a row.
Oh!
Like a drove, it wasn't my fault.
Marlowe, that still leaves us a big blank to fill in.
Yeah. But while we're trying, Lieutenant, do you mind if I drop in on Mr. Maffey again? Alone, I mean? I'd like to try pinning the leg of the ducky on him.
All right, Phil, but be careful, huh? It's fragile, you know, made of glass.
Yes, what... Oh, you again.
Yeah, do you mind if I come in again, Mr. Maffey?
Frankly, I do, Marlowe. I don't feel very well
Your
tonight,
wife
and I
was
just...
murdered, Mr. Maffey.
My wife? Murdered?
Still mind if I come in?
Where did it happen, Marlowe? In San Diego? Marlowe, I asked you where it happened.
In Tijuana. Ever been there?
Yes, of course. Marlowe, what are you looking for?
Just looking. When were you last there, Maffey?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a month, 6 weeks ago?
Not Saturday night, huh?
No, not Saturday night. Marlowe, what are you
Maffey,
getting?
did you ever send Helen Lofton a present?
See here. Who do you think you are? And exactly what are you looking for?
A wastebasket that isn't empty. You keep a very tidy place, Mr. Maffey.
Which has what to do with my wife being dead, Marlowe? Are you out of your mind?
Maybe, but also maybe not. Maybe I'm real smart. Maybe I've come to the right place to look for an empty package and a piece of wrapping paper that would be addressed to Miss Helen Lofton in your handwriting and postmarked Tijuana, Mexico.
Tijuana?
A large piece of wrapping paper and a large package stuffed with Excelsior. It was once home to a glass donkey in which you had to get back from Helen Lofton before she got it. Or if you were too late for that, kill her and then get it back before anyone else knew about it. Does that still leave me out of my mind, Maffey?
Absolutely.
We'll see. After we try the backyard and your incinerator.
Now, wait a minute.
You know, the law says you can't light it after 10 in the a.m., Maffey. If you're the one stamped guilty, you wouldn't want to arouse suspicion.
Stop, Marlowe. This has gone far enough. You're not the police.
Which means I don't need any more of a search warrant than this. I caught him right. He plopped to the floor, face down, like he was made of wet wash. When I rolled him over and was sure that our return engagement was still a long way off, I cut the lights, then went through the house and out into the kind of backyard that you had to call a garden. Beyond all the moon-bathed beauty and half hidden by a fountain that was backed up by an ivy trestle was what I wanted. The short, squat, scarred, ugly incinerator. The door was metal cold, and inside I found more encouragement. None of the paper that was jammed 3 feet deep and had burned. I started tossing the stuff out, counting more on the feel and sound of wrapping paper than anything else. Once I stopped short, but it was only a grocery sack. The second time I stopped short, I had a better reason.
Marlowe, you're wasting your time there.
Well, Mr. Victor Semrau.
Yeah, or as you put it, the guy with the mile-high forehead.
I wouldn't get touchy, Semrau. You were swinging the dock ahead, remember?
I'm sorry about that, Marlowe. I didn't know we were both on the same side there.
Both on the... Take it easy, Victor. You wouldn't try to set me up again, would you? Why the sudden change of heart?
Because now I know that you're in the up and up, Marlowe. I overheard you talking to that police lieutenant and also the Mexican newspaper man.
Well, bully for you, eavesdropper. But also you ran. Why?
I was afraid you'd turn me over to that lieutenant. Marlowe, listen. From the start, I've been trying to find Helen's killer. That's why I've been following you. I found that glass donkey in her porch, and, well, to get right to the point, Marlowe, I can tell you that the one who killed Helen and Mr. Maffey...
The shot that had come from the shadow driveway close into the house spun Semrau in a half circle, and by the time he corkscrewed to the ground, I had my .38 in hand, and it covered the distance across the garden. I was too late to do anything, except identify the figure I saw take off in a sedan as Mr. Norman Maffey, which was some help. not the Victor Samurai back in the garden. He had managed to crawl as far as the small pond that surrounded the fountain. There he had died, one hand half submerged in the dark, cold water, the other clutching his chest, blood-soaked, and his skull in another way.
And the conclusion of the Adventures of Philip Marlowe, along with an episode of the serial Little Orphan Annie. That's coming up in just a few moments here, following these words when Classic Radio Theater continues.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medi-Share for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medi-Share's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medi-Share is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of the Adventures of Philip Marlowe and the Glass Donkey, as it was broadcast July 28, 1950.
I must have stared at it for a full 30 seconds before it suddenly began to add for me. Add fast to the only backyard left in the spot where I could get to Maffey and maybe stop a third murder. Lila Hughes' place on Beechwood Drive. It was all the push I needed. When I pulled up away from the place and got out of my car and ran for the back, only 10 minutes had gone by, and I was glad of it. Because standing next to an open, still-smoking incinerator, a piece of charred paper in his hand that I knew was the remains of the rapper I'd been after, was Norman Maffey. And opposite him, a gun in her hand, was Lila Hughes, the shy blonde.
Lila, you're crazy, insane. Well, I saw you shoot Victor Samurai. And you must have killed...
Of course it was me, honey. I killed him. I killed Helen. I killed your wife. Well, about her, I'm not sorry. I'd do it again.
Lila, how could you plan an ugly,
I didn't
ruthless...
plan anything, darling. I ran into her by accident. Tijuana's a small place. We started sociably. We had a few drinks, a drive to the outskirts in my car, and then talk. Talk of you, darling. I knew I could have you with her out of the way. Helen was no threat. You gave her up, so there was no one else to stand between us. And, honey, you hated your wife.
But, Lila...
But nothing. It was all very simple, darling. Helen was different. You see, I had to kill her. That piece of wrapping paper there that you just snatched from me, the paper I sent Helen a little gift in. That's the reason, Norman. I did have to kill her.
And now you do have to kill me, too. Don't you, Lila?
Oh, no. No, darling. Now the killing's done. I did it all for you, darling. Don't you understand?
You devil. You she-devil.
Oh, Norman, dearest, you don't know what you're saying. Honey, I tell you, I did all this for you. Remember that, darling.
How can he ever forget it? Don't move, Lila. Don't breathe. Drop your gun there at your feet.
No. No, I think I'll use it again. Even if you shoot, I'll use it. We belong together, Norman and I, and we're going to beat it.
She's dead. Marlowe, she did think she could shoot. Even if you did, didn't she?
Yeah. That's what she thought, all right, Maffey. Call the police. They know where they can find me.
Phil. Now, where have you been? You know better than to just walk off this phone.
Yeah, Matthews. I'm sorry. I've been out walking. What do you want to know?
The one blank, Phil. What sent you over to Lila Hughes' place?
Oh, Victor Semrau, his hand was burned, blistered red.
Like you'd been fishing around in a hot incinerator, huh?
Yeah. That and what he had to say to me about us being on the same track. Lila Hughes was the only other one who was both close enough to Helen to send her that glass donkey and at the same time even remotely connected with Maffei.
Uh-huh. Any idea what sent Semrau to her backyard?
I guess his tack all night was to follow me. When he tried to pick my trail up again after running from the bar, he thought Lila Hughes' place might be the answer. Turned out he was right. Real right.
Yeah, he must have seen her around her incinerator lighting it, and then decided to get to you when he couldn't reach in after the wrapping paper.
Yeah, something like that. With, of course, her taking off after him. Look, anything else, Matthews?
Phil.
Hmm?
Phil, you weren't in love with Helen Lofton once upon a time, were you?
No. No, Matthews. I wasn't in love with her.
Yeah. Well, so long, Phil. And, look, I'm sorry about Helen. I mean, it's a crying shame.
Yeah. Good night, Matthews. I'll come down to headquarters in the morning. Yeah. A crying shame.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, presented by Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, bring you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and star, Gerald Mohr. Philip Marlowe is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and written for radio by Robert Mitchell and Gene Levitt. Featured in the transcribed cast were John Stevenson, Michael Ann Barrett, William Lawley, Bill Johnstone, Vivi Janis, and Vic Perrin. Detective Lieutenant Matthews is played by Larry Dobkin. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Arant.
July 28, 1950, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going all the way back to 1936 for an episode of Little Orphan Annie.
Who's the little chatterbox, the one with pretty auburn locks? Whom do you see? It's little Orphan Annie. She and Sandy make a pair, they never seem to have a care. Cute little she, this little Orphan Annie. Bright eyes, cheeks of rosy glow, there's a store of healthiness handy. Might size, always on the go. If you want to know, Princess Sandy always wears a sunny smile. Now wouldn't it be worth the while if you could be like little Orphan Annie?
It's 5:45 now, Orphan Annie time and Ovaltine time again. And these are certainly busy days for Annie and Simmons Corners now, aren't they? Yes, sir. With poor Tony Ranelli in jail and so many mysterious things happening down at the new bridge, Annie and Joe certainly have their hands full. Let's see what Annie's doing about the missing Bill Corwin. You remember, Mrs. Wigglesworth was so worried, she got the marshal out to her farm. And then Walter Bloom reported that the Wigglesworth's rowboat and fishing tackle were missing. Do you suppose that Bill went fishing on the river last night? Neither Annie and Joe or Mrs. Wigglesworth think so, but the marshal does. Listen to him now.
Gone fishing, eh? So that's what you get me out here for, Mrs. Wigglesworth, on a wild goose chase. Or I guess a wild fish chase, eh?
My goodness, I never knew Bill to do a thing like this before. You're sure about that boat, Walter?
Sure, I'm sure, Miss Wigglesworth. It's gone from the dock, just like I said, and so's all of Mr. Wigglesworth's fishing tackle.
Shucks, you don't suppose he's really gone fishing, do you?
Of course not, Joe. Leaf and lizards, there couldn't anybody fish with what Bill Corwin had on his mind.
What's that, Annie? His hat? You know, I really ought to be mad, Mrs. Wigglesworth. You getting me way out here and just to tell me Bill Corwin's gone fishing and is wearing his hat on his mind. But I ain't. It's a good joke. Just wait till the boys hear about it.
Oh, you think you're smart, Elmer Slamp, don't you? Well, you're just so smart, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
No, don't you do that. You might need it sometime, Mrs. Wigglesworth. Maybe to clean those fish Bill's going to bring home. Well, I got to be getting back to town.
Listen, Mr. Marshall, there's more in this thing than meets the eye.
I'm glad of that, Annie. 'Cause there ain't nothing meets my eye in it excepting that young Corwin's gone fishing.
But he hasn't, Mr. Slamp. He couldn't have.
Well, I'm sorry, Annie, but all the evidence says that he has. The fishing tackle's gone, the boat's gone, and Corwin's gone. Till I see something different, I gotta believe that evidence.
Yeah? Well, listen. You believed some other evidence once. That day you arrested Tony Ranelli for the payroll robbery.
Once? What do you mean once? I still believe it. And that evidence is going to hold up in court next week and send Ranelli to prison for a good many years. I've been marshal long enough to know evidence when I see it. And this time I see it. Bill Corwin's gone fishing. And if he brings home a big mess of fish, Mrs. Wigglesworth, you might send a few of them over to me. And have Walter clean them for me first.
Say, I got other things to do besides cleaning fish for you.
Wait a minute, Mr. Marshall. Wait a minute. I got something to tell you.
Well, if it's any more of your fish stories, Annie, you better tell it to the Marines.
Shucks, he's gone.
Doggone, if he thinks I'm going to clean any fish for him.
The idea. He thinks he's too smart, Elmer Slamp does. Fishing, indeed. Bill's never gone fishing since he come to board with us. And he certainly wouldn't start out in the middle of the night without even going to bed.
He didn't go to bed at all, Mrs. Wigglesworth?
Of course he didn't, Annie. His bed wasn't slept in. He didn't come home. Mr. Wigglesworth says I worry too much. Well, maybe I do. But ever since that boy come to stay with us, I haven't closed my eyes nights till he come in. No, sir. I've laid awake in bed listening for the door to open and close and for Bill to come upstairs. Never having any children of my own, I felt sort of like a mother to him. And all is, until last night, he's come in early. Even when he had a date in town to go to the movies with Eleanor Bartlett, he was always back before midnight. Oh, I can't understand it. To think Bill would go off like this without saying a word to me who was so good to him.
Dear Mrs. Wigglesworth, don't you be feeling too bad. Something's happened to Bill, so he couldn't come home.
For land's sakes, but what, Annie?
I've got an idea, at least a part of an idea. So you go inside and rest a while, Mrs. Wigglesworth, and we'll see what we can do about it.
All right, Annie. I do feel kind of low, not sleeping last night and worrying so much.
You go right in and lie down a while. Just you leave this to us, Mrs. Wigglesworth.
Well, you let me know as soon as you find out anything, won't you?
Sure, you bet we will.
Doggone, I never seen Miss Wigglesworth feel so bad before.
Shucks, neither did I.
She acts just like Bill was her own son. Couldn't feel no worse, I guess, if he was.
Like she says, I guess never having had any children of her own made her love Bill an awful lot.
Yeah, but you said you had an idea, Annie. What is it?
Well, it's only part of an idea, Joe.
Shucks, a part of an idea is a lot better than none at all. I haven't got any.
Doggone, I never seem to get any ideas.
It's like this. If Bill's disappeared, Joe, you and I know why.
Sure we do. It's because of the cement and the bridge and that man who warned him to get out of town.
What is all this?
We haven't time to tell you now, Walter. It's something Joe and I found out from Bill. I was going to tell the marshal just as he was driving away, but...
Shucks, he said to tell it to the Marines.
Well, I'm kind of glad he didn't listen, Joe. I don't suppose it'd make any difference to him anyhow. And it may be awful useful to Tony in his trial.
Huh? What's it got to do with Tony?
Lawyer Jones may be able to hook it up with Tony's case and help him. Don't you see? And coming as a surprise in court, it may do a lot of good with the jury.
Boy, oh boy, I never thought of that. Was that why you stopped me when I started to tell the Marshal, Annie?
Yeah. I didn't see that he had a note if he was going to look for Bill anyhow. But when he got that fishing stuff in his head, I was going to tell him as a last resort to get him to do something. But instead, he drove away. Now it's up to us to do it.
Do what?
Find Bill. Will you help us, Walter?
Huh? Oh, sure I will. I ain't got much to do today, and anyhow, looking for Bill will be easier than starting to plow. Feels too wet to plow anyhow, like I told Ma.
Well, let's get started then.
Where are we going to start?
Down at the river. Down where the Wigglesworth's boat's missing. Come on.
But shucks, Annie, why start there? We all know and we've all been saying that Bill didn't go fishing.
I know that. But where else is there to start? All we know, Joe, is that Bill left the Silo's house last night intending to come home. He didn't come. Leastwise, he didn't go in the Wigglesworth's house.
Sure, but he might have disappeared anywhere along the road here, Annie. And Wyatt might have got him.
Doggone, I wish I knew what you two was talking about.
It's like this, Walter. Bill was threatened. He was told to leave town. And he was warned if he didn't, something would happen to him.
Well, I'm a sad Sammy. What do you know about that? Bill was threatened. Why didn't he call me? Anybody that threatened a friend of mine, I'd twist right around in my hand.
You weren't there, Walter.
Well, doggone, I wish I had been there.
Here we are at the river.
There, see? There's the dock, Annie, just like I told you. And the rowboat's gone. Mr. Wigglesworth's fishing tackle that he keeps on the side of the shed here, that's gone, too. I know, 'cause he always had a big bamboo pole there.
Yeah, I can see it's gone, Walter.
Shucks. You don't suppose Bill really did take the boat, do you, Annie?
No, but I think it's got something to do with him disappearing like this.
Why? I don't see
Because that boat's never been missing before. It's been tied up there for years, and nobody's ever taken it. Why should they take it now? Don't you see, Joe? The two of them missing together, Bill Corwin and the Wigglesworth's rowboat. They got some connection, and we gotta find out what it is.
I wish we knew how.
There's only one way to find out.
How?
Well, there's only one place a boat's any good.
Oh, sure, I can figure that out on the water.
Yeah, a rowboat's no good on land. So wherever that boat is, it's got to be someplace on the river. And we're going to find it right now.
Shucks, good for you, Annie. Let's go.
We're going to follow right along this riverbank until we find that boat.
Come on.
I'm with you.
Say, Annie.
What's the matter, Joe?
We ought to search in the other direction, too. Suppose somebody took the boat up the river.
That's right, Joe. Maybe you better search upstream, and Walter and I'll go down the river.
Sure.
Keep good watch on both sides of the river, Joe.
All right, Annie. So long.
There goes Joe. Walter, you better watch the other side as we go down the river.
You bet, Annie.
And I'll keep watch on this bank. Sooner or later, we're bound to find it. Come on, Walter. Let's move right along.
Yeah, there's some bushes ahead there. I'll push them down so you can get through.
Here we are.
Gosh, Annie.
What, Walter?
You don't suppose...
Suppose what?
That Bill got scared and left town, Annie. You and Joe said he was threatened. He might have got real scared and got in the boat and rowed across to the other side of the river and run away.
No, Bill's not that kind. He wouldn't run away from anything.
Well, I wouldn't run away from a swell job like he had on the bridge. But some awful funny things have happened to Bill around here, and he might have run away, Annie.
No, Bill had a special reason for staying. He was going to report today to the authorities and Mr. Flint. You can just bet he didn't run away. You can just bet...
Say, there's the boat.
Where?
Right ahead there, right close to the bank. That's the Wigglesworth boat.
I see it. But leaping lizards, there's no one in it.
Nope, not a soul.
We gotta call Joe. He can't be very far yet. Joe! Oh, Joe!
Oh, Joe! Come on back. We found the boat.
Okay, I'm coming.
Come on, Walter. Let's get closer to the boat.
Yeah, guess Bill did go fishing after all, Annie. There's the fish pole. I can see it hanging out over one side.
Yeah, the line's in the water, too. But that doesn't prove Bill went fishing.
Looks awful lonesome, don't it, that empty boat?
Did you find it, Annie? Where is it?
Right there close to the bank, Joe.
It's drifting there, just sort of moving lazy with the current.
Gosh, and no sign of Bill.
Suffering sunfish.
What, Annie?
Look, Joe. Look on the seat of the boat there. What do you see?
Why, I see a hat.
A hat, yeah.
Yeah, it's a gray hat with a black band. Its brim sort of turned up on one side.
Do you know whose hat that is? It's Bill Corwin's hat.
Gosh, then he was in that boat.
It looks like it.
Annie, doggone, if he was in that boat and only his hat's there now, you don't suppose he's been drowned?
Well, so Bill Corwin was in that rowboat last night after all, because there's his hat lying there in that boat. Well, what could have happened to Bill? I have a hunch we're going to be finding out soon, so be sure and keep listening from now on. Be right here at Orphan Annie time tomorrow, because I have a feeling we're going to see some strange new developments in the mysterious disappearance of Bill Corwin. We'll be hearing more about that tomorrow at this same time. And until then, goodbye.
An episode of Little Orphan Annie, sponsored, of course, by Ovaltine, going all the way back to 1936 here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you for making us a part of your day. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and it's always great when you contact this radio station. Thank them, please, for carrying the program, and let the advertisers know that you're listening. Better yet, do business with them. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be here each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Now, I also want to mention that if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are up on demand at our webpage, and that is at classicradio.stream. Not .com, but .stream. classicradio.stream. Now, you can hear our shows on demand. You can learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can also contact me there. You can find all of our social media links there. You can also find all the links where the show's available via podcast. So if you want to download the shows, you can do that through those podcast links. That webpage, again, is classicradio.stream. And by the way, if you enjoy our show, if you'd like to buy me a copy, I'd appreciate it. Now, I don't drink coffee. I drink Dr. Pepper. But what I drink is irrelevant, because that money that comes in through Buy Me a Coffee, I set that money aside for us to use for purchasing additional classic radio theater programs to use here from collectors. So there you go. You can help expand the show. Buy me a coffee at classicradio.stream. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.